All righty, good afternoon and welcome. This is our Wednesday, November 1st, 2023 trade wrap up and market review. Wild and woolly day in the market today. We got Fed announcements. We had all kinds of crazy stuff happening. We had our second largest one-day realized gain day ever. And another big up net lick day for us. So paying off, we're going to cover all those trades. We're going to cover what Chairman Powell said and what they did or really didn't do. We're going to take a look at the market. So let's just dive in and get this rolling right now for you. Let's take a quick look at SPY. We got it up on the screen here. So far for the week, we are up substantially. We are inside of this downtrend channel, continuing to bounce off the lows of the channel, the 3 ATR here on the daily, and just moving its way higher. All right, so good stuff here. And really, we were already up on the session before Chairman Powell came out and started yapping, and before the Fed said, hey, we're not going to do anything, which is what everybody knew they were going to say. And then Fed Chair Powell said, we are going to keep looking at data. We're going to keep the rates where they are. We're not even discussing cuts. And we haven't figured out what we're doing the next meeting. If any of that was surprising to you, then you've been living in a cave somewhere for the last several months, because that's all they say. So with the economic data the way it is, we're not seeing any slowdown in anything that's going on, but we're not seeing things just cratering either. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep watching what the Fed's doing. But really, when it comes to it, the Fed's not going to make that move. They're not going to do anything right now. Will they raise one more time? Yeah, if this stuff doesn't cool down, they may raise one more time. I don't think that's a surprise. They did not say they were done, and they're certainly not discussing rate cuts. I don't know who's thinking that's going to happen. It ain't going to happen in the first quarter next year, unless the market just craters and something happens that forces their hand. But right now, it's not going to be the economy. Anyway, so SPY continues its bounce off of the 3 ATR, back through the 2 ATR, all the way back and reverting back to the 21 EMA. It's exactly what we do. We go up, and then we go down, and then we revert back to the mean, and then we just keep plugging away. So MACD still been heading lower along with RSI on the weekly. We have reversed on the daily for 3 sessions in a row, 3 big up days, gap, moving up all the way to the bearish PSAR signal here. Any kind of an up session tomorrow should trigger a bullish PSAR signal, and we're off to the races. Maybe for several weeks potentially here. Who knows? Do we break this channel is really going to be the question. But right now, it's all good. We love exactly what's happening. These have been the 3 greatest up days ever, and it's not because the market's moving up. I mean, the market's moving up a couple, 40 points here, 30 points, 40 points, whatever. That's not what's really doing it. What's happening right now is volatility is dropping like a rock. So we'll just jump over to the VIX real quick. Here's the VIX. And for all you big VIX people who think that this is the greatest indicator ever, it's really not, but it does give you a sense of what's going on. We went from 22 here 4 sessions ago, all the way back down into the 16 and change range. So we're almost 17. Back down, breaking through the 21-day moving average. Vol is over for now. Can that happen and change tomorrow? Sure. It can be something that happens in this crazy Middle East conflict that triggers things. We got a government shutdown looming. I 100% think we're going to shut down. I 100% thought we were going to shut down last time, and I went on record saying I think it's going to be the longest shutdown we've ever seen. Kevin McCarthy avoided it by maybe doing the right thing, the wrong thing. I don't know. I'm not going to make political statements, but Kevin McCarthy managed to avoid it by putting something on the table to extend, which got voted past, and then he got kicked out. And now I don't think the Republicans are letting this thing go. Maybe it'll happen. We'll see what happens. I think government shutdown is coming. I think this conflict in the Middle East is going to worsen and widen. Israel is not going to back off. Everybody wants them to back off. They just had their, people murdered, raped, killed, and all of that. Nobody deserves that, no matter what they've done in the past, potentially civilians. So I get it. I'm not taking sides here. Don't write me anything. I don't care. For that, I'm not going to get into political stuff, but it's not going to, my point is, it's not going to calm down. Okay. Israel's not backing down. Iran keeps rattling sabers. I don't know what Russia's doing. Putin's got to be involved in everything. Putin, in fact, I just think it's funny. This will be my last comment, that Putin is saying that this is uncalled for, murdering people and going into Gaza, when he is destroying an entire country and bombing the crap out of it. I think that's just unbelievable. But anyway, all these things are happening and volatility is dropping. The market's moving up. It moved up even more after Powell talked, although the first move was the wrong move, as always. And then we just got the continued rally through the end of the session today. So good day overall. VIX is dropping. We look at the Qs, pretty much the same thing. Back up to the 21 moving average. RSI MACD moving higher on the dailies. Still dropping on the weekly. IWM continues its bit of a bounce here off of this support level and off of the 2 ATR. Good stuff for those of you that are in IWM. I don't know who is in that, but if you are, great for you. We've already talked about the VIX. The dollar went pretty much nowhere today, just more sideways consolidation, and anything sideways on the dollar is good for the market. If the dollar's not cranking higher, the market's going to be in good shape. If the dollar gets unleashed again and we start heading back up into the 107, 108, 109, 110 range on the dollar US index, then all bets are off and the market may drop again. TLT gained on the session, so bonds strengthened on the session, because if we look at rates dropped significantly on the session today. So rates were unchanged. They ran up, they dropped, they ran up, and then they finished the day towards the bottoms of the session. So overall, a sideways to down day on rates on the 10-year. And you see RSI's just heading lower. So we can take off this divergence piece now. RSI and MACD are heading lower. Rates heading lower. Good for TLT. Finally starting to catch a little bit of a bid here. Powell's not saying he's raising, but he's also not saying he's cutting. So I don't really know what the impetus is for TLT to start rising, because until rates fall significantly, bonds aren't going anywhere. So you're not going to double your money in TLT anytime soon. All right, let's jump in, take a look at futures and see what's happening in the futures. So we know the dollar was down today, should be decent for most Forex. And as we look at 6A here, the Aussie dollar, bullish PSR reversal today, breaking higher through this descending triangle. That's good stuff for 6A. It's great stuff for our trades as well. On the British pound, again, not much of anything happened today, just basically flat on the British pound. It's just consolidating sideways here, not really trending in any direction. And the Canadian dollar futures, they're just hanging in there. A little bit of a bounce, but pretty much unchanged, trying to get off these oversold levels. We'll see. They've taken a pretty good hit. And then the euro just continuing to move sideways, up and down, gyrating, but sideways. Sideways is good. It's not a bad thing. All right, ZB, which is your 30-year, that ran up today. We had naked puts. They all got finished at 50% winners today. So those trades came off. So I'm no longer in any ZB trades on this big move up. Today we took the 50% premium capture out of all of those, and then we'll skip the 10-year note here. Again, it's not going to look a whole lot different than the 30-year. Big up day, bullish PSR reversal. So good looking stuff here on the 10-year as it drops, as the rate drops, and as the bond rises. If we take a look at CL or we look at oil, oil continued to be a little bit weak. on the session, but really not too bad overall. Continues to drop on the weekly, breaking the 50 RSI. I think that's significant. I think you got to look for this thing to head a little lower. I'm still pegging 78-ish as my target, which is also the 200-day moving average on the daily. It's also the 2 ATR. So I think as we start to ride the bottom of this Bollinger Band down, we opened lower, we rallied, and then we finished off of those highs, but we also finished off the lows on oil. I think the big thing on oil right now is oil volatility just continues to drop. It was as high as 47 down to 40. Look at this chart on oil volatility, RSI and MACD just dropping. So the volatility is dropping out of oil. Fantastic for our trades. We had a huge day on oil on the unrealized gain session. Big gains on our strangles, big gains on our 112s, and big gains on all of our naked puts. I've been selling naked puts in oil here because I do think that there's a bottom. I do think that this 78-ish, 77, 78, look at all of this stuff converging here. You have support here at 77 and change. You have the 200 moving average at 78 and change. You got the 2 ATR at 79 and change. Bollinger Bands here at 80. I like it here. I'm not saying it won't go lower or can't go lower. I think it probably won't go lower. And I think we're due for at least somewhat of a bounce. Maybe that bounce is temporary, but I think oil, with the stuff going on in the Middle East again, and inventory levels super low, oil can't go super low here. There's too many things in the mix that can prop it up. All right, we take a look at gold. Gold's been selling off for a couple sessions in a row. Session number 3, MACD and RSI have already been telegraphing that for a week. Now that this higher highs here, potentially we're running out of momentum here on the MACD. The weekly still solid. A pullback is nice and fine. I think pullback to maybe this 1981, which is the 21 moving average here, 1980-ish, somewhere in that range. I think that is very likely, which is also the 21 EMA on the daily. So the daily and the weekly have the exact same 21-day moving average, and so does the 50-day moving average. So I think that's pretty interesting. I would look for gold in that range, or to maybe bounce off the 200 moving average here on the daily. We'll see. But also on gold, if we really dive into it, volatility is just going down, down, down. It's worse than the VIX. So we were up as high as 20. It's down to 15. Okay, so this thing has gotten a 25% haircut, in about a week now. So in a 2-week span, 25% drop in volatility. Gold volatility down. IVR, I think, is 37 now on gold. We did get a gold trade on, and we had 2 strangles come off today. I mean, when your volatility is dropping like this, and it's also seeing that the actual price is dropping a bit from this crazy rally high, those things added up to beautiful confluence for us to close 2 gold strangles today. So those are in great shape. If we take a quick look at copper, copper was just up fractionally on the session, moving above the 50 on the RSI. So weekly in this descending channel, or descending triangle, I should say, but moving higher, solid on MACD, moving higher, and then reversing and moving higher, and then on the daily, I think it looks good here as well. But it's right in the middle of these 3 ATR and 2 ATR levels, which I think is a good level to putting some strangles things on. Let's take a look at the sectors and what was hot and what was not today. What's hot? Semis. 7% up on the session. Semiconductors bouncing right off of the bottom of this descending wedge after it got past the 3 ATR. I've been talking about it for days, that we've been below the 3 ATR and you can't survive there for long. And it didn't. It finally popped above yesterday. Big move up. MACD's been reversing for 2 days. RSI heading higher. Good looking move on semiconductors, but it's still a descending wedge. So don't get too excited. Other things moving. Biotech had another good up day. Tech stocks up almost 2% on the XLK today, back to the 50-day exponential moving average. RSI breaking the 50 and moving higher. Strong looking daily chart. on XLK. Tech stocks back in charge. If we look at communications as well, Google and their Metas also looking very, very good, coming off of very oversold 3 ATR moves. The XLY, your Amazon and your Teslas, also looking good, coming off 2 to 3 ATR oversold levels, and MACD and RSI just rising. Every time I see this, I want to add one. So I'm going to actually add the 50 in here on XLY. I like to keep track of the 50 line on the RSI. So let's put that on. And there we go. All right, so we're moving towards that 50 line. A break above that and a break above the MACD, I think really bodes well for XLY. So strong sectors, and then utilities up, financials up. KRE was down a little, up a little on the session, but because it held up there, it helped keep that S&P moving a bit as well. Worst trading sector of the day, by far, retail. But it was only down 0.27%. Energy only off 0.25 or 0.23%. Oil as well. So not a big bunch of moves there. And then if we look at a lot of green on my watch list, except for these oil stocks and travel, everything else pretty doggone green. Apple up almost 2% here on the session, with earnings coming out tomorrow night. So we'll see what earnings can do. That's going to be the next big event. If we can get through Apple earnings without a major glitch, I think you've got a pretty good tech rally on the way. Microsoft up over 2% on the session, continuing to power higher. Now it's actually starting to hit some overbought levels at the 2 ATR, so we'll see how that continues. Amazon up almost 3%, hitting the 2 ATR and completely filling this gap. So the gap is full. We can settle back down or whatever is going to happen, but we created a new gap to do so. RSI, MACD heading higher. Amazon looks good, but you're at the 2 ATR. I'd wait for this thing to cool down before I started to get too long in this. Meta up 3.5%. This is not overdone by any stretch, just breaking the 50. I really like the way Meta is shaping up in here. I think this thing has some room to run on Meta. I think you could see 320, 330s, upper 325 to 330 range on Meta. Google, another nice update. Again, I mentioned it yesterday that we were below the 3 ATR and the 2 ATR, with MACD and RSI starting to roll over. The 3-day wait rule after the gap down on earnings is over. I suggested selling put credit spreads. If you did that, you're up today decently, as Google's up almost 2%. NVIDIA up almost 4% on the session heading into earnings next week. This head and shoulders neckline is going to have to wait a little bit longer, and this gap fill is going to have to wait. Tesla up 2% today. So Tesla up a little over 2.4% on the session. MACD, RSI starting to look really good. Oversold definitely on Tesla yesterday, the last 2 days. Again, I suggest potentially a put credit spread here on Tesla as this thing looks to start heating up a bit in here. And then AMD, wow, look at this sucker go. If we take a quick look at the earnings numbers on AMD, see if we can get that to pop. Let's see if I can get it to show up. Earnings on Halloween, earnings were 0.7 versus 0.8, 0.489 expected. So better than expected earnings. AMD, I really like it here. I wanted it back here when we broke. It just couldn't get going for whatever reason. And then today it popped. So we were right, but wrong. And now we're probably right again, and we're not in it. But MACD and RSI are rising. That's stocks for you. That's why I hate trading individual stocks. I really just want to focus on indexes and futures and not individual stocks, because there was nothing wrong to knock this thing down from 110 back to 93, and then all of a sudden we're back to 108 again in 3 days. So stocks are stupid. Don't like them. But AMD looks good, and I think if anyone is going to give NVIDIA a bit of a run. I think it's AMD. I think AMD is going to benefit from AI. And I also think NVIDIA has the most to gain. AMD has the most to gain here, percentage-wise. NVIDIA has made a huge run. It can continue to move higher. But you're talking about AMD at 100. That could go to easily to 200 or so and double, where I don't know that NVIDIA going from 423, it might get to 600, okay, which is fantastic. From a point percentage, it's great, but it's not the same percent. From a point standpoint, it's great. From a percentage standpoint, not as good. So I really like AMD here. If you wanted to get long something, and again, I'm not telling you to get long anything because I hate stocks, but I like AMD better than NVIDIA. So there's what we are seeing. Let's jump into the account. A lot of stuff happening in the account today. So let's share a bit and let's talk a bit about what we did on the session. So we ended up yesterday. The month ended up fantastic. In fact, this is the IRA. Let's jump over to the main account first. So we ended up 320 yesterday, which was a new all-time high. We had jumped $8,000 in net lick yesterday alone. And then today we piled on another $4,000 in net lick. But here's what I like even more. Our delta came down 270. Beautiful, very delta neutral, but slightly positive. I love it. Our theta came down a bit today. We took off a boatload of trades, but our theta didn't fall a whole lot because we put debit spreads for profits, and we took off strangles for profits. So the strangles brought the theta down, but to put debit spreads helped push that theta back up a fraction. So they kind of offset each other. Theta perfect here, about 0.4 and change. Love it. Again, we gained $4,000 in net lick on the session. More excited here. Our BP use dropped $50,000 on the day. So we dropped from a 78% BP to a 60. Much of that, a good chunk of that was volatility dropping. Volatility drops, span margin drops, BP usage drops. The other parts were we took strangles off. We also made a pretty unique modification on a 112 trade that actually freed up 13 on our naked puts. We didn't take them off. We turned our naked puts into a put debit spread, and we freed up another 13,000 in margin that way as well. So lots of great stuff. Perfectly looking account. But the number I'm excited for is 8,331 daily realized, and I played no zero DTE. This is just all trades, all related to strangles and 112 trades. This is the second largest day in this account that I've tracked this year. We thought that this one a week or so ago was the second largest, but it was until today. $8,300 gain. Fantastic stuff today. We are now up 8,331, which is 2.6%. We are almost at our $9,000 goal for the month, and it's the first day of the month. I cannot be more excited for our realized gains this month, knowing that I've got 2 112 trades that will come off this month for sure. There's at least another 4,500 plus whatever strangles and 112s that we got running. I'm expecting a big month. I would expect us to have one of the largest months ever. If we go back and look at the entire year, our largest month on the year was January at 20,000. We had 2 difficult months in March and April where we had some strangles come off in that Volmageddon and a meta strangle all get stopped out. And then we took a bunch of zero DTE losses, and that's when I kind of gave it up doing the standard DTE for all those months until about September. And then we just went back to doing our normal thing. May, June, 9,000, 8,000, 19,000 in July, 15,000 in August, 4,200 in September. We had a couple trades not go our way, but on some strangles, but we also didn't close as much 112s as I would have liked. And now we're back. And then we made up for it in October, $15,000 gain. And then now we're up $74,000. We started the year at $250,000. Again, we started this account with $30,000 4 years ago. We started the year at $250,000. We're sitting at $223 or $323 right now. But we have booked $74,000 in profits on a $250,000 account. And if you really look at that 74,000 on a $250,000 account, we're up 30% as of today with 2 months to go. And I'm not counting the November numbers in here yet. So we really haven't grabbed this November number yet. When we do, and we put that in here, we're going to see these numbers jump even more. Technically, we're now up 82,667 when you count today's gains in there. So really good stuff. Let's take a look at the wins and losses. Let's just clean up the spreadsheet a bit here, and we'll grab the wins and losses for the month as well. So good looking stuff. So right now we got 8 winning trades from today. We're going to go through those with you. $8,000 for the month of November already on day one. I'm excited. If you can't tell, I love what we're doing. I love the way we're trading, and I love what we're doing with our members. I think they're making some fantastic money. One member posted he's made $47,000 in just the last couple months. Okay, if you think education's expensive, try ignorance. If you think $150 a month for our Discord and our service is too expensive, try doing it on your own. What you missed today was over $4,000 worth of unique adjustments that you'll never find anywhere else. Anyone doing 112s. So look for the people that started it and know how to adjust their trades. Anyway, there's where we were today. Let's dive into those particular trades and see what we did. Overall, on the day, we closed 8 trades, and let's walk through them one by one. So the first trade down here was a naked put on bonds. We had opened this trade up on 10/13, took 19 days, and we closed it. It's a $94 winner. I just keep doing these. If you look back, there's a bunch of these ZB trades, $109 on that one, $203 on that one here. So is there any other ones? I think that's the 3 so far. So we've closed, several $100s worth. We just keep selling naked puts on bonds and making a little bit of money as we go. Good returns, 5.8% return on margin. You can't really beat it. So we closed that today. We had a gold strangle come off. This one took 19 days. So this one we put on really in the height of volatility. So when a lot of people were starting to get tested on their 2x losses because on these strangles, because volatility had increased, we took advantage of that to put on a gold strangle. That thing only took 19 days to come off because of the volatility and then a little bit of price reversion today as well. Then we had a naked put on ES that we do periodically. These are 90 DTE naked puts. We had one sitting there. This one did take a little while, took 57 days, made $313 on that one as well. 10% return on margin, closed it at 50%. So all these 50%ers just closing automatically today. And then we had another ES, another strangle, this one an ES. So we had an ES strangle that we put on back on 9/7. It took 55 days because of the increase in volatility and ES dropping, but it did finally close out today. 50% winner, automatically closed, $1,100 to the good. Here, 16% return on capital for that particular one. Took 55 days, but I will take that. I'll take that. If you figure 16% over 55 days, that beats my 3% monthly. So I'm pretty happy with exactly what that looks like. All right, next thing here on these another strangle. So here's a gold strangle that we had put on back on 9/1 before the volatility increase and the rise in gold. We were able to hang in there on this particular trade, and it came off today for a 50% winner. It took 61 days. So there's the difference in timing. 19 days on this one and 2 full months on this one, but $1,230 winner on this particular one, 13% return on margin or on the BPUs, 61 days. So in 2 months, it's still averaging almost 6.5% a month. We'll take that return. That's pumping it up. There. And my goal, my trade plan now, which we've revised a little bit, I've backed off on a few strangles. I've added some standard 112s on some other futures, but I'm still running at least 6 strangles on futures on at all times. So I'm trying to get 3 to come off. Well, I had 3 come off today, 2 gold and 1 ES future. So I've actually hit my target for the month. I've already got my 3 strangle trades closed for over, for almost $4,000, for 1,200, 1,100, and 1,300 in there. So almost $4,000 worth of strangles all closed. Here's where we made some more money today, and this is what we really worked with. We did a long 1.5 hour almost session with our members where we went trade by trade through all the portfolio and looked at ways we could adjust or tweak them and using our strategies. So we had here, we rolled a put up on one of our PDSs here. So we rolled a put up on a PDS and captured $24 in credit. So we netted $1,200 on rolling this thing up. So determining where you roll up, you're rolling down. When do you roll? How much do you roll? That's all what we cover with our members here. But that roll netted us $1,200 in cash. So while some people are sitting there thinking, oh, the trap is great, as long as we don't leave the trap, it is great. But why not capture some of that money? Then we had another roll here on this particular one on a December 29 piece that we had. And this one, we also rolled puts on this one, captured $12 in credit. So with 2 contracts on this particular one, this one down here was a standard, I believe this one was a standard 112. This one is a long-term 112, which is why 2 contracts versus 1. And netted another $1,200 on that move today. And then on this one, we actually closed a full PDS on a more recent 112, long-term 112. We had already rolled it. So we had already rolled this particular one and captured some profits on that one. Let's see if we can even locate it down here. Where was that particular trade? I believe this might be it. So I think November 30th one. Yeah. So we've already on this 112, we already rolled once for 17, and then we closed today for 18. So we've made of a 50 wide, we closed $35 of the 50 wide, and now it's totally done, and we can move on to other things on here as well. So made some great gains today, 8,331. Made a lot of moves on all these other trades that we have going on. We've actually adjusted our FB, which is the Fat Bastard 112. We've actually adjusted that one twice now. So there's 2 rolls in that one. In fact, that's what this one here is. We've rolled twice now on this one. If we take a look quickly, I'm just going to jump into our Discord for a moment. And just to give you a sense, how many comments do we have here? Why am I not seeing my my posts? In here. All right. Yeah. So here's where they all are. This is why I missed it. All right. So this FB 112 trade. Okay, we've already rolled twice on this one. And we've already gained quite a bit on that. So we've got a total of $50 in credit on this particular one. So $50 already in credit on the PDS only from 2 rolls. And then what we did today was we bought some long puts and turned the naked puts into a put debit spread, freed up 13K in BP. We rolled some puts here. We closed this PDS here. We made $4,200 in adjustments already on that particular trade. We did get some new trades on. We got a new gold strangle trade that we put in. So that gold strangle trade is rocking and rolling here today, taking advantage of some volatility. So we replaced the one we closed with what we sold. So overall, there's where we are. Let's look at the small account for today. We closed a naked put for $60. It's the small account. And we saw our net lick rise yet again to new all-time highs yet again today. We finished the month great last month. And then if we look at the IRA account here, Delta, Theta, very well in line. We gained more on our net licks, so new all-time highs again. We started at 200,000. We are now up 20% in our IRA this year. Market is not. We saw our BP usage drop back into the 50s, which is perfect. And we ended last month, I think we already covered this yesterday, but up 12,340 in realized gains. So good stuff here. All right, if you like this video and you got something out of it, what I want you to understand is, hey, there's a lot of people trying to talk about 112s, and there's people posting 112 videos on YouTube, and that's all good. I don't mind. I don't have the market cornered. I created it. I don't mind sharing it. I don't care who does what with it. Okay, if it makes you money, use it. And many of you that are watching this do make some money on it, which is great. If you like what I'm doing, click the like button, subscribe here. Okay, but what I want you to know is, just because you can put on a 112 trade doesn't mean you're maximizing the gains. Understand how to manage the naked puts, how to manage the put debit spreads. There's more to it. When to manage them, how to manage them. Okay, and there's more than one type of adjustment. What do I do with the naked puts? We've got 4 or 5 different opportunities to adjust those. The put debit spreads, 4 or 5 opportunities. If you want to learn from the folks that created it and understand all the different adjustments from it, come and join us in the Discord. Join up. If you use the code KING down below in the description there, you'll save $50 off the first month, if it even matters to you. Okay, why are you walking at $150 when you can make thousands of dollars in a day, or $8 grand or 15 grand in a month, or whatever? Invest in yourself, learn how to trade, become part of the community. Okay, we'd love to have you there. That's enough selling for me. Okay, I really just want to share what we're doing and make sure that, hey, we're helping some people out there. This is why we put this free video out for you every single day, so you get a sense of what's going on and what is possible to keep you moving. All right, everybody, enjoy a great rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Please stay safe, everyone. Have a good rest of your week. Bye-bye.